Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. And I'm very happy to welcome Gary Parsons. And he is our amazing guest today, with whom we will speak about the time. How important is to use the time the way that it will be the most efficient for us. Hi, Gary.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you very much for asking me back.
You're most welcome. I really enjoyed our previous episode where we discussed many things. So let's continue and speak today about the time. We know that we cannot manage time. Yes, time just goes and it is out of our reach to do something with that. So, what we can do is prioritize our activities, what we can do in order to achieve our audacious goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I'm bad for this personally. I want to do so many things and I want to achieve so many things, and I have a really strong sense of making the world a better place. But I only have a small amount of time in which I need to be able to do that. So I know personally from experience of growing a business, as you know, I have had to really balance what I know I can achieve and what is actually possible. And I notice, I'm sure you will agree, I notice so many people really struggle with trying to, that word balance comes up time and time again. And yeah, it's hopefully one that will definitely have lots to talk about today.
Yes, let's speak about from your experience what you did that helped you to use your time the better way.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, where do we start? So I would say one of the things from me having a business for it's 15 years that I started 15 years ago that I started the business that I now have actually stepped away from. So hopefully that sets the scene for people that I'm not in that business on a day-to-day basis. I have a team that runs it for me. It's successful, and I'm able to go out and enjoy what I do and be successful in a small amount of time. How have I achieved that? I've made sure that I've had experts around me. I have utilized those moments where you get so many approaches as a director of a company say, why don't you outsource this? Why don't you outsource that? But actually working with people that know how to do that job really well, yeah, absolutely embrace it. I'm a huge advocate for outsourcing support and getting people that know how to do that job. For example, and the business that I've had does it. So, for example, is outsourcing payroll. Somebody thinks that's quite easy. It's not. It's really complicated. But if you look at the cost to outsource it versus your own time and how much it costs you to sit there and get it wrong, um, then then yeah, doing things like that just brings the expertise, but also saves you a lot of time. And as I've just said, there a lot of expense as well. So I think that's one of the biggest tips that I've would give people over the last 15 years is embracing some real experts and bringing them in to support you, not abdicating responsibility, not saying I'm not going to do that anymore, but just bring them in and support you. And even if you do 10% of that, then you've saved 90% of your time on that one task.
Yes, yes, it is really important to work with people who are professionals because you cannot do everything yourself. And as the owner of the company, you have the vision, you have those that understanding of the global things, and you need somebody who doing things which are to be done every day, like small things but still are important, right? Like there are different profiles of people. Some people, like let's say Richard Branson, yes, he is creator by his profile, like he just have the vision and he goes from one idea to another idea, and he needs people who will implement those ideas technically
Mm.
every day, going through processes. Yes, so one
Yeah.
people like there are different of kinds of profiles of people who are very good in different tasks, and this
Mm.
is important that we have all these people which we need in order that every task and every activity in its level will be addressed.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a big expert that is, if you look on the other side of things, one of the things that I noticed, and we all do it, is we can be perfectionists, we naturally can be, especially when it's our own baby, our own business. We're so protective over it. We don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want to miscommunicate something. We want to be we're extremely protective because it's our only source of revenue. But people don't realize, and the one thing I certainly work with people on now, is that there are tasks that you can give to people. It might be that you bring an apprentice in. It doesn't need to be an expert. It doesn't need to be somebody on hundreds of pounds per hour. It could just be somebody to come in as your junior to support you. Apprenticeships are an amazing way to be able to do that. Somebody that's really keen to learn and have a really natural ability to be innovative, to have the initiative to be able to do some of the work. If you can bring somebody in, and there's getting really technical here now, and I'm sure you'll be familiar, but something called the Eisenhower matrix. So we look at things that are important, we look at things that are urgent. If it's not important and it's not urgent, it really shouldn't be on your list. And but if it is important, then you will work on it, you'll get it done. If it's really urgent, then it probably needs to stand with you. But there are people that I would say this the other way. So there's urgent and important. And I always get confused when I say this now, but if it's urgent but not important, the likeliness is you could probably delegate that to somebody else. Now, the argument is what isn't important when you're running your own business and you're growing? Well, there are lots of things, but your challenge is to make sure that you can identify those small things. And again, if you can just shave 10, 20% of the work off your list and pass them over to an apprentice who's keen to learn, and it's not business critical that you do that work, then let them go and do it because you might find that they're really good. Like you say, just because we own the business doesn't mean we're amazing marketers, doesn't mean that we're good at finance. In fact, I know very few directors that are very good at finance at all, and they can be very bad at marketing. But if you can bring somebody in with those skills and you can identify those gaps in your knowledge and expertise, then great. Just delegation, I think, is the word to use there.
Yes, because we have two assets. One is money and one is time. Yes, so with money we can buy time, and money we can always make, but we cannot say this about the time. Time is the biggest asset, the most expensive one, and if it goes, it goes. Yes, so there is always the question what we want to prioritize, and when we focus on things that we only can do, we can do them much more efficiently because our mind will be focused on these things. And if we just think about everything, we can do anything right because our mind will be overwhelmed, and with doing one thing we will think about another thing. So it is better to identify what is really important for me to do, what I can do and nobody else can do, like, and what I love to do. So because when we do what we're really good at, we will do it the best,
Yeah,
and see what other things we can delegate. And as you said, it is not always about having like big budget for outsourcing. Right?
mm,
It can be for even a small company, but they still can have those students, as you said, who want to learn, and also they're young and they can be creative and they can come with
yeah,
different ideas and do things, right? That will
yeah.
help you to grow.
I
So
would,
it is
I would
not
also,
necessary to have
yeah.
even
So,
big budget for that.
yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say as well. One of the things, and an analogy to use is if you were running a shop and you were sat in a supermarket, for example, if the CEO on, I don't know, £500 an hour, let's just use some really silly figures here. If the CEO on £500 an hour is scanning your shopping at the checkout, and versus somebody that is on £10 an hour, then why are we paying somebody £500 an hour? You as an owner, as a business, you've got the highest price tag. Perhaps not £500 an hour, but certainly a lot more. I'm trying to use crazy figures here to just really emphasize it. But why would you pay somebody a really extortionate amount of money compared to somebody that can do that job extremely well for a lower amount of money? Because actually, if I'm looking around the room, if I made this pen to sell to you, and I sold the pen for £1, but it cost me £5 to make, well, why am I spending £5 to make a pen I'm never going to get my money back on? So it's just identifying those tasks, particularly what tasks in your business are could be given to somebody else that they could do at a lower rate, and you on your higher rate, and hopefully you're paying yourself as an owner, as a leader in a company. If you're paying yourself a higher figure, then go and do the high ticket items. Go and meet with those really important clients. But you don't need to meet with every client. You just need to meet with 10, 20% of the clients that bring in. What's that rule? Is it that 20% of your clients will ultimately bring in 80% of your revenue? So if you can work with those 20% of clients, then that's where you need to be spending your time. So I think it's that phrase of working smarter, not harder, really. And then ultimately, hopefully you start to work less, and you work less hours, you start to work smarter, and then you can go and spend time with your family, or you can have that holiday that you really need to go and have. And yeah, trying to make more effective use of your time out of the business, and not working too many hours in it. It's that
Yes, and
work-life balance, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
yes, and there is 80-20 rule. Yes, like we do 20 activities which create 80% of results.
Hmm.
So it is good to find out what is the 20% that will create 80% of results and focus on them. Yes, but again, to avoid multitasking. Yes, because less task we have, better we can focus on them. And if it is tasks which really depend on us and can do them the best, and this is what creates 80% of results, this is how we will free time to do other things, which is important also for our happiness, for our life and fulfillment.
Absolutely. And I've got to be fair when I say this. There are people that start companies because they enjoy doing those low ticket, very transactional position, roles and duties. And that's absolutely fine. And that might mean that what you need to do is you need to bring somebody in to come and manage your company for you and grow. I see it quite a lot in the world of graphic design. People that really enjoy doing the graphic design and getting on the tools and creating some amazing images and brochures or logos, they want to be doing that. They don't want to be sat having meetings and board meetings about making sure that they've just done the best profit and loss figures ever, and they've made a real difference on their net profit. They want to be sitting there, they want to be creative, and it is possible to do both, but it doesn't mean that you have to choose. You can carry on doing the graphic design and enjoying it, and bring an amazing managing director into the business and let you keep on doing that. So I think it's all about, yeah, it's important to talk about time, but it's also important to talk about what do you want to do with your time that you'll enjoy, um, and not just resent it at the end of the day as well. I know I've stepped away from my business. I laugh when I use this phrase, but after 15 years, I made myself redundant from the business. I stopped doing all of those tasks that I needed to do. I brought other people in to do those tasks for me, and I got to the point where, I, probably a year and a half ago it is now, where I couldn't think about what I needed to do because there wasn't really much on my list anymore because I'd delegated everything and I'd brought the expertise in, and we were still making a really good profit. And now I still own shares in that business, so I hold them accountable. I make sure that the directors make the money that they need to, but I I go and do the things that I enjoy, and unfortunately, and it sounds awful, but they're not in that business anymore because that business is running and it does what it needs to. I've moved on to different things now that get me up in the morning and make me enjoy it really. And that's our ultimate aim, isn't it? To walk away and have 100% of our time back. But then we normally fill it because we get addicted to business and we want to do more exciting projects as well. That's what I think
Yes.
anyway.
Yes, so good, so good. Yes, that you could manage it that way to have all time for yourself. So now you don't do business just because you have to do it. All those tasks, as you said, yeah, do you do business just because you like it. You have it, those shares, and you still see how they're doing, and you have so much time for yourself and for your life.
Yeah, it is. I think that's the ultimate aim. Is I was talking to somebody only today, and they have two businesses that have done really, really well. And she unfortunately burnt herself out. She had a couple of things that were going on personally, but she burnt herself out, and she's only just recovering from it now. And we had a conversation. So it's somebody that I mentor, and she said to me today, "I want to go and take over the world again. I'm ready. There's so many things I want to do," and we've agreed that she needs to just do it slowly. You can't start a little bit like when people go on maternity leave and they can't come back straight away. Companies will always encourage people off that have been on maternity or paternity to come back in and do those keep in touch days and do 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and then build it back up slowly. And
Mhm.
same when people have been ill. And I said to her, look, you've had a really tough experience. You don't want to burn yourself out again. So it's great that you've got all the passion and you're really ambitious, but you need to be looking at slowly increasing your time and
Mhm.
and not just jump in feet first. And yeah, I guess that's the curse of an entrepreneur and a leader of a business that we want to. I'm sure you'll know and you'll see people where they want to do 100 hours a week because they love it, but it's not sustainable. And I think that I mean that is a conversation in itself, is how sustainable our work passion can be.
Yeah, so it is not only about finding time for business, it's also finding time and planning time for yourself
Mm,
to do what you really makes you feel good so you can refresh, you can get this power back. Yes, because if any machine just runs and runs and runs without not stop, it will be burnout. Yes, it will be
mm,
just overheated and just go out of order. And also it is related to human beings. Yes, we it is good when we have passion, when we're driven, when we have big goals, but we should understand that we can achieve those goals only when we love ourselves, when we put time just to rest, to put time even to meditate, to visualize. Yes, not only being in active different actions, yes, like in doing
mm,
something, but uh, have some time just to manifest these things even in the way how you dream, in the way how you rest, how you enjoy life, because it is good to achieve goals when you enjoy life, not when you're
mm,
just like a tired horse just in racing. Yes, and you don't see how days just going by and you just think about that goal. So it is not a
yeah,
good way to live. Yes, so it should be somehow the harmony between the goals and also ability to live every day, being in this present moment, enjoy the process on its way. Yes, not like that. Some
Mm,
people say, oh, like I will be happy when I will achieve that goal. And they forget just all this period of time before that. They just don't remember because it was just work, 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 right? And all these stresses. But it is much better when you live every day, enjoy what you do, have this
mm.
joy, have that good moments of life, be present every day, and grow consciously, like with awareness that every day is bringing you closer to the goal. And when you feel good about yourself and about what you do about life, this is how you will achieve your goals even faster,
Yeah,
because you have to be in the certain energy, yes, to start attracting things which you want in your life, not just pushing things harder.
yeah. You use a really good example a few minutes ago then, is that the machines, we aren't machines, we are humans, but machines in factories, so those big factories that the machines don't get turned off ever. Well, they don't get turned off for a long time, and those companies still have what they call factory shutdowns, and those companies will every, I don't know, it might be every 3 months or uh, depends on the schedule of the business. They will make, even though those machines are operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they still they still have something called shutdown, and every single machine will be shut down. They will stop operating. They'll have people go in there. They'll maintain. They'll replace parts. They'll check to make sure that the machine isn't likely to break, because every even the machines need to be maintained, and we don't have, I think fortunately is the right word, well, fortunately we aren't machines and we don't operate like that, but even machines that can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, need every so often to be turned off to check so that they're okay and to make sure that they are running, because if they don't and they break down in the middle of a really important process, and that might be making tins of baked beans or whatever it might be that they're doing, if we don't turn off now every so often and switch off and have that reset and relaxation, then what we will find is that, like the machines, we will burn out, we will fail, and we will need to have some time out urgently at a point where the work that we're doing is really critical. So it's better to be preventative than um, proactive rather than reactive. And yeah, we should be consciously looking in our diaries, asking our husbands, our wives, our children, whoever they might be, to say, you need a holiday. I'm taking you away. I'm taking your time out. I'm taking your phone off you, and make sure that we are having time out, because when we can rest, if something goes wrong in the business or it's really intense, 3 weeks, 2 weeks later, whatever it might be, we operate better and we make better decisions because we've had that time out, a bit like that machine. So I think it's a really good analogy about the machine, because even they need to be looked after as well, don't they? And oiled.
Yeah, so when you plan your time, remember to put some of that portion for your well-being, for yourself, to do something that really make you enjoy, because when you feel good, you will do much better. Yeah, and you will achieve your goals much better way and faster than if you just exhaust yourself. Thank you so much, Gary. It was amazing conversation as
Thank you.
always, and I'm looking forward to see you again in our future episodes.
Yeah, thank you very much for asking me back. I've enjoyed it.
You're most welcome.